So this is my Fuji apple tree behind me, and today we are going to be picking apples and we are going to be making some homemade apple pie filling. So my apples are nice and ripe. Whenever the Fuji apples get some red on them, they're perfect for picking, and so I'm going to be picking some apples and then we'll go inside and clean them and get started. I try to get the low-hanging fruit first, so we're going to work on this. This will be plenty of apples for today. So these are some organic apples off of my tree, and I'm going to go ahead and get these all washed up, and then I'll show you how we're going to prep them for our apple pie filling. So I have two really great apple recipes that I'm going to be canning today. One is an apple pie filling, and one is wedges of apples in a cinnamon apple syrup. So I'm not eating a lot of this type of food anymore, but I do like to have it on hand because I do make pies and go to different events, and you know, Christmas is coming and I know other people do enjoy these things. So anyway, today I've got lots and lots of apples. Look how beautiful these apples are. So we're going to be using our apple peeler to peel these apples. We're going to get them all put into some lemon water, and then I'm going to start putting everything together. So I'm going to start off by peeling my apples, and this process is pretty fast because I use this apple peeler and corer. So I will clean them all just as soon as I get all of this put away, and then we'll start measuring them and getting them ready to make our different canned products. So I've got a whole container here full of, a whole bowl of cored, peeled, and sliced up apples. So I'm going to take these apples and I'm just going to pull the cores out, and I'm just going to cut these into slices, and I need 12 cups of apples. So this will only take me, this only took me a couple of minutes just to even do this. This is a very fast process with this little apple peeler. So I've had these soaking in some lemon water. I didn't even take the cores out. All I did was run them through the apple peeler. I'm just cutting them in half to do my apples. All right, so there's two. This looks like this was the perfect amount of apples. Now I did have one apple here that was just too big to go through the apple peeler. It wasn't that I couldn't have done it, I just couldn't have done it, and then I would have had to have changed my settings on the peeler. And most of my apples are kind of a medium apple. I have a couple that are just gigantic. So I think what I'm gonna do, this is how many apples it calls for. I've only got a couple more, so I'm gonna go ahead and put these other two pieces in here. They were really just half of that big apple. So I'm gonna use up all the apples. This is for my apple pie filling. Now the next one we're gonna do is for the cinnamon apples, and we'll do those next. We got that done in about, I'd say about 10 minutes. It was pretty fast. So I'm gonna take all of my apple peelings and my apple cores. I don't have time today to mess with them, but I wanna have them available if I make, you know, any kind of apple jelly, or if I wanna make more of my apple cider vinegar, which is probably what I'll make with these. So all I'm gonna do is just throw these in the freezer till I get the next batch started. So this recipe starts off with some apple juice. So I have some unsweetened apple juice. I'm gonna list all of the ingredients down below. So if anybody wants to make this, and also I get this out of the Ball Book of Canning. So it's tested and true recipes. I'm gonna add the water. I'm gonna add some cinnamon and nutmeg. I'm gonna add some clearjel, which is basically like a, kind of like a cornstarch, only it's much more stable when you can it. So almost 2 3/4 cup of sugar, which is almost 3 cups. One, two. Okay, there's our sugar. So all you're gonna do is just stir up your ingredients. Now you always wanna add Thermoflow or clear gel to cold liquid. You don't wanna add it to hot liquid. It just makes it a lot harder to break it down. It makes it more clumpy and that kind of thing. So add it while it's cold and then heat the water up. I've got some water boiling on the stove, so all I'm gonna do at this point is start cleaning my jars. So I had a friend bring me a box of these beautiful, they're 32-ounce glass mason jars. So I'm gonna be using these today to can my apple pie filling. All right, now that my mixture has started heating up, I wanna make sure that I'm continuing to stir this. I've got my jars heating up. They're all washed and heating up in my canner. And so as soon as this thickens up, I'm gonna add my apples and then we're gonna start canning this up. The most important thing, you don't wanna cook your apples, but you do wanna make sure after everything's boiling and this is thickened, that we heat our apples through. So we are gonna leave them on the heat for a few minutes, but it's mainly to heat the apples so that they cook evenly in the jars. All right, my mixture is starting to thicken. I can feel it thickening up, and when it thickens, it's gonna thicken up like in a matter of a minute. So I'm just gonna keep stirring this, and we're gonna go from this particular, I don't know what you call this. Oh, well, you can start to see it's thickening up here. It's no longer like water. Now I'm gonna switch to my wooden spoon because I'm gonna be working with these apples. And continue to stir these up. I'm gonna turn the heat down because I don't want it heating up too much. I don't want anything to burn, but I am gonna add my apples at this point. So just be careful, this stuff, it's like lava. You don't want any of this splattering onto you. Now you could double this recipe if you like. For me, this is gonna be more than enough. This is gonna make, I think, probably 4 quarts, maybe 3. I did put some extra apples in here. But all we're gonna do is just mix in these apples so that they get heated up. When we can them, we want everything heated through. Try your best to stir it without breaking the apples up too much. It's very difficult. I mean, this sticky apple mixture, it doesn't make it easy to do this, but you know, you can take your time. Don't worry, it's not gonna burn up as long as you turn it down. Now I'm just gonna let these apples heat up a bit. Now I use these for apple pies. I think it works out really good throughout the year to be able to enjoy my apples at other times of the season besides just fall. And I use Fuji apples because that's what I have on my tree, but if you have Granny Smith or really any kind of apples that you like making into a pie, go for it. They're all gonna work. Now, if you've never canned before, it can be a lot of fun. Don't be afraid of it. I mean, I was fortunate. I had a grandmother who I grew up, she was always canning something from the vegetable garden or their neighbor's fruit trees. So I was lucky. I got an education in canning very early on. But you know, the books and videos right now, they've got so many great things that you can watch to learn these things that there's no reason that people can't learn to do these things now that, you know, our grandparents are gone. And And a lot of people are learning these old-time skills. And I'll tell you what, when you have an opportunity to have organic or grow your own food, you'll see there's just something special about it. All right, so I am gonna stop here, I think. This is a little bit more than an inch, but like I said, these apples will expand, so I'm not worried about it. I wanna clean them real good. Now remember, I did put some extra apples in here, so I may get more than the 4 quarts, I'm not sure. So the next recipe that we're gonna can is gonna be apple wedges in cinnamon red hot syrup. So I saved you all the trouble of watching me go through the apples a second time, but I've got them all peeled and cut into their little pieces, and so we're gonna go ahead and make our syrup. All right, we're gonna start off by adding some sugar. We're gonna add some water. We're gonna add some light corn syrup. Don't hate me, I know nobody wants to eat corn syrup anymore, but that's what this recipe calls for, and that's what we're gonna use. We're gonna add a couple of cinnamon sticks. We're gonna add some whole cloves. We're gonna use some ginger, ground ginger. We're gonna use some vinegar. I've got my own homemade apple cider vinegar. We're gonna use some of that. And our secret weapon is gonna be hot tamales. So I looked everywhere for those little cinnamon pieces and I could not find them anywhere. And then I realized hot tamales are basically those little cinnamon pieces. So we are just gonna cut those into little pieces and add these to our mixture. So I've got all of my hot tamales cut up. I'm gonna just add these to my mixture, and I've got this heating up right now. So this is going to be a sweet, hot, spicy, you name it, it's in this. So we're just gonna get this all dissolved and completely heated up, and then we're gonna be adding our apples to the mixture. Now, if you want more red in your apples, which I do, I mean, you're gonna get some from the cinnamon, but I'm gonna add a little bit of red food coloring. Now, this is optional, you don't have to do it. This is just something kind of fun, makes your apples really nice and red and pretty. And this is a gourmet food coloring, so I don't need to add 2 teaspoons of it. Just a little bit will go a long way. All right, so let's get this nice and heated up, and then we're gonna add our apples, and then we're gonna go ahead and get this all mixed up together and can this beautiful mixture. Now I'm going to use some smaller jars this time. I'm not going to use those big ones that I used for the apple pie filling, because these are kind of a nice little thing. I may take some of these for Christmas. I haven't decided yet, but it's going to work out really good. So this is one of those recipes. This is a lot of fun to make for Christmas. So you know what I think would be fun? You could make one batch with red, like a red syrup, and then you could make the other one with like a green syrup. That'd be kind of fun. Now, I don't know how you do the green with the red hot tamales. You may end up with a different color, but anyway, I think the red is really beautiful, and there's just no words to describe how good this smells. It's almost to the point of boiling, and as soon as it is, we're gonna add our apples, and then we're gonna start filling our jars. Okay, my apple ring syrup is all done. It started to boil. And so all I'm going to do is add my apples like this. I'm going to start off putting them in here kind of lightly because this stuff is very hot. I do not want it to spray all over and, you know, burn me. So I think that's pretty good. I'll put the rest of them in here. Okay, my apples are all ready to can, so I'm going to take these cinnamon sticks out. I have 2 cinnamon sticks. And with a slotted spoon, I'm going to start putting my apples into the jar. For this recipe, we're going to leave a 1/2 inch of headspace in each one of the jars. I usually like to do about 4 jars at one time. Couple big scoops will usually fill these up. And I like this size jar because this is something you can use if you don't eat them all up in one meal. If you have people over, you can definitely use these to give away. It's just a really nice size. It says 8, but I don't think there's going to be 8 in this. There might be. I think it's going to be more like 5 or 6. And I think part of that for me is because these apples are sliced so thin. I think if you had a thicker sliced apple, it would be a different story. I'm going to get all the apples in before I put the juice in. All right, it looks like we're going to get 7 jars of apples. This is such a sticky mixture. I can't even tell you how sticky this is. You've got a lot of sugary mixture in here, and this is just part of what happens. So we're going to fill this up to a 1/2 inch headspace. Boy, these are beautiful. I'm so excited to see this all done. All right, all I'm gonna do now is go along the edges of these jars and just clean them really good so we don't have any problems with anything sticking. Well, look how beautiful all my apples came out. Now this is from one picking this morning. These are the cinnamon hot tamale apples. I can't wait to have some of those. Of course, we gotta wait a couple weeks. And these are my apple pie filling. Each one of these bigger jars does a pie. So I have enough apples here to make 4 pies. Perfectly happy. That's gonna do me through the year with all my other things that I have canned. So thank you for joining me today for this really fun canning day. Apples are probably one of my favorite fruits off of my trees next to my persimmons. They just have so many great things. I made applesauce about a week ago for the baby, and I just love all the things you can do with apple, not to mention all the fresh eating. These are the best and sweetest apples. I just love these Fuji apples. Organic and fresh from the tree. So thanks for joining me today. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you're not a subscriber, please consider subscribing to my channel. Give me a like, a thumbs up, or ring that bell for future notifications, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.